This video is about creating a mixed curve in FreeCAD 1.0. This is an example of a mixed curve. It looks different from the top, from the front, and from the side because it is a result of two flat curves projected into space and combined into a dynamic 3D curve. So let's figure out how to make one of these. This can also be used, this is how I use it, is to make handlebars. I run Regular Cycles LLC at www.regular.bike. I make carbon fiber handlebars. So let's make something like a handlebar. And to start with, before we get to the mixed curve command in the curves workbench, which you must install because it does not come with FreeCAD on its own, we first must start with a body in part design just to provide an origin. I literally call this origin supplier. And I have a little macro to rename everything. And this is to avoid error messages later on. But for now, we're just going to create a sketch, do the top view. I'm going to make something more or less like a handlebar profile, just as a demonstration. I'm going to have that be flat and then cycle through modes using the M key. Start with overall length first. So half, let's say 325 for overall length. And let's say the stem area that's really generous. That's more width than you really need. This does not really represent real life, but it's, again, just an exercise. I'm going to have these two be equal in their radius. And now I need to define an angle. Let's say 8 degrees of back sweep. And put the angle in a more friendly place. What else do we need? 2 depths of freedom, or 2 degrees of freedom still. We need a distance away. How about that? Let's base it with an expression based on the name of the first length plus some value. That looks close enough. Second length. And let's say I don't know what this value is going to be between them. And I want to change that to maybe have a custom property of, let's say, transition gap, we'll call it. This is a property length type, so it's type safe. And I'll just give it a value of, say, 60 millimeters. And then invoke it in the expression editor in place of the actual number. Okay, so now when I change it in the data pane, let's change it back to 70, it'll update here. And that's really useful later when you want to just change things in the tree. So what else do we have left? It must be, a distance away from the x-axis. Let's define that as, say, 30 millimeters back initial. That is a weird shape. And again, this is not a handlebar, this is just an exercise. But we can run with it. So now we should make the front. And first rename this as sketch top view. And let's make its pair that's gonna, that satisfies the front view. We need to satisfy the front. And let's make a pair to it. So again, another sketch. Let's do XZ plane for the front. And invoke much of the same geometry as before. And then start referring to it by name. I'm hitting the equal sign to get there faster. Overall length, yeah. I'm going to copy this preamble for easier reuse. Second length. And first length. Again, equality constraints on these guys. Let's do something different from the other angle. Come on now, there we go. Let's just be silly. 20 degrees. This is not real life at all. Okay, 1 degree of freedom remaining. Again, the height from here to here. Okay, now we have the ingredients for making a mixed curve. This is basically where we want to be, and the two will act. I'm going to rename this sketch front view. The two will act as a unit when I modify, say, the transition gap here and hit enter. All these points will move in unison. And if I change the constraints of the overall length to say 300 and hit enter, again, they move in unison. So they will match up nicely in terms of making a mixed curve that makes sense. So let's go ahead and do that. And here's where something is not such a fun time, in the sense that invoking it results in this message of going outside of the allowed scope of the body. And indeed, the sketches are still in the body, and this is outside. This is a special object outside of part design, and it's kind of naughty to refer to it. So I'm going to delete the mixed curve and pull these sketches out of the body and into the rest of the document. There we go. Just need to find the right spot. That's a little awkward. That could be improved. Maybe I will fix it in the future once I get to the point of contributing to the software. Anyway, let's move on. And again, we have the ingredients for what we need. So now that they're outside of the body, and this is truly just a supplier of origin, now we can invoke the mixed curve and get what we want. This is a mixed curve. It looks different from every single angle. And we can use it by making a new part design object that refers to the mixed curve as a shape binder. So now that we have this binder, I can hide the mixed curve from view, and the binder reveals itself within this new body. I'll call it binder path. I'll call it the body additive or pipe thing, and rename all the stuff. Okay, we're getting more. So let's make a sketch for the profile. I'm going to choose the YZ because the original sketches are attached to the origin, so that's convenient in terms of just being able to use the origin here too. Otherwise, I'd have to use a datum plane. So let's make a tube, and the interior. Those are the wrong constraints. Those are totally wrong. Let's select all of them and just do one fell swoop. All right, looks good. Let's do outer diameter. I'm going to do by, diameter. Let's say, I don't know, 20 OD. And have the interior diameter refer to the OD and subtract, say, 4 millimeters ID. But, what if that's not satisfactory? What if I want to define this by a wall thickness? So I can add a custom property, which is a wall thickness. In this case, a length property. And give it a value of, I don't know, 2 millimeters. And refer to it, which is the same as, 2 times 2 is 4 in this case. Just refer to that thickness. Oh, I did my math wrong there. Whatever. I'm a little tired. Say it's the wrong expression, that's why. Times 2. Yeah, radius versus diameter. So this wall thickness affects the interior radius, and I define things by a diameter. So I had to multiply by 2 wall thicknesses, essentially. So here we go. That looks nice. And in the actual data pane, I can change it to, say, 5 and hit enter, and it'll do the thing. This makes more sense to have like 2.5. That's not really representative of real life either, but whatever. So now we have the ingredients to have a sketch profile, and then also select the path. That's enough ingredients to use the additive pipe feature, which should result in this. Okay, all right. So we've got a 3D sweep, or 3D additive pipe. But let's say this part's kind of annoying, and all these extra edges are a problem for when it comes time to mesh things. Well, this path, as defined by the mixed curves, can be edited to, say, not have arcs at all and instead use a B-spline. That would do the job of fewer total edges to account for. So let's make some tangency. Okay, there and there. Have it on the curvature. And let's have this node be tangent to this curve. Looks good. So if I pull it all around, it's still tangent. I'm going to have these two match up with each other with a vertical constraint, and then I'm going to use half of the gap. Come on now. There we go. I'm going to use half of the gap. Man, I really used the wrong one. This is why I tend to use hotkeys. They're not very video friendly, but I like hotkeys because I don't click very accurately anymore. Okay, gap time divided by 2. So we can call that half gap. And it's in the middle between these two. That looks fine. And it gets rid of one edge at least. So let's do the other one. Same deal here. Come on now. My mouse is acting up. Make another curve. Get this guy lined up with that guy. Oops. Wrong thing. All right. Vertical again. And this time we can refer to the half gap on the first sketch that we just defined. Alrighty. And that should get rid of the intermediary edges. So it does. And this will be easier to mesh and easier to output G-code for a CNC mill. But let's say we wanted an additional profile. What if you wanted this to taper? We'll need another profile to add to the additive pipe in a multi-section way. So for now, let's hide the pipe and make a new profile here at the end, starting with a vertex and then an edge, and create a datum plane and to bind it by normal to edge. I like to modify my datum planes to not be the automatic size because I think they're too big. So I move them to like 40 by 30, and that gives me a reference for which way the y-axis is going. The wider one is kind of the x-axis. So let's select that, create a sketch, and then similarly make 2 circles. OD again, and this time I'll define the wall thickness ahead of time using this OD instead of the original, like so. Constraints dot this one's OD minus profile original wall thickness times 2. Yeah. ID. Okay, so the result there is that they share information. I'm going to hide that, call it profile end. This should have been the start. I'm going to reveal its size. I chose 20 last time apparently, so I'm going to change this to, oh, that doesn't need to be an expression. Yeah, it doesn't need to be an expression at all. Let's say 15, and it updates there. I can change it to 18. Again, it updates. There's a very slight taper there. Let's change the original wall thickness to, I don't know, 4 millimeters, and hit enter. And both of them update. So now we have the ingredients to have a multi-section additive pipe. So let's go back into edit mode for the additive pipe. Change the transform to multi-section, add a section, and choose the sketch profile end. And there we go. We have a tapered, complex additive pipe. And you know, to get a handlebar, you need something like a straight gauge section, and then a taper, and then a straight gauge section. So this doesn't really represent the end thing. It gets to be a little more convoluted, but this does at least demonstrate the core value of making a mixed curve. Again, my name is Drew Diller. I run Regular Cycles LLC. My website is www.regular.bike. If you want to chat bike technology or FreeCAD software, feel free to reach out. Thanks.